Here on the Rock Pile on a Thursday night here, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Special guest tonight. I've been following him for the last, no, I don't know. We got out of school in 2002. So let's say over 20 years I've been following his career. And I finally get a chance to connect with him. Former roommate of mine, former football player too, was a quarterback at Fordham and is currently the offensive coordinator at Kent State. I'm excited to bring him on and go down memory lane for a little while, but I told him before we came on here, I got some tough questions for him. I'm not going to go easy on him, but let's bring him on. Let's bring on Coach Carney here. What's happening?
Coach Korg, excited to be here,
buddy?
dude. Long time in the making.
Dude, I'll tell you, I think it's probably been, we graduated in 02.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I followed your entire career the whole way. So we're talking over 20 years here.
It's been a long time. Yeah. Every level of college football. And
yep.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
So I want to start with your career first, playing career. I had to dive into some of the stats here, man, and I didn't know, and I got to post them up here. So you were 9th in completion percentage. You were 10th in passing yards. You were, I got on here, passing touchdowns in a season. You're 6th with 27.
Yeah.
I didn't know I knew you broke some records. I know some of your records that got broke by some of the guys that came back. But I didn't know you were still in the top 10 in a lot of categories.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, it's been a lot of years. Somebody will get me out of there eventually. Yeah, no, we had fun, man. I had a blast during my time at Fordham as a player. Learned a lot about the game of football. Learned a lot about the game of life. Learned a lot about myself. But yeah, had fun that senior season, man. We had some dudes around us, Rock. It was like throw a 4-yard screen to Javaris Dudley and let him go 90. Like it wasn't.
So I was trying to look at. So I got there for the 98 season.
Yeah.
So I had Coach Cataro, Coach Q, and his staff actually recruited me, and then some of the Ken O'Keefe's guys did too.
Yep.
Did those guys recruit you too? Those staffs?
Yep. Yeah. So the guy who recruited me, his name is Brian Durrington. He was the corners coach or secondary coach. I can't remember if it was corners or all the secondary. But he recruited me to Fordham, and then the OC at the time was Dave Patnode.
Yes, that's who recruited me.
Still in the business. Still, yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Met him for all like a 30-minute breakfast, I think, one day on my visit. But yeah, he's still in the business. I see him all the time. But yeah, I told this story the other day, actually, like recruited by one coach, by the grace of God, the guy who replaced him knew who I was from a different spot, right? And then, 2 days after that season, right, he leaves. So 3 head coaches in a matter of 9 months. Shoot.
Yeah.
Welcome to college football.
Coach Patton, I saw did he just get a coordinator job?
He did. He got hired at Buffalo, and then like 3 weeks later, or 3 days later, maybe the head coach left.
Oh,
to go to Alabama. Yep.
Oh dear.
Yep.
So I was going through. So we had Coach Q, and I was just going through some when we were there. Coach Q in '97, Coach O'Keefe in '98, and then Coach Clausen through 2002, and then obviously the current coach, Coach Conlon, who's been, as I was saying, has been real good.
He's been killing it, yeah.
I got a chance, which is really cool. My sister-in-law, one of them, lives down in Wake Forest.
Oh yeah,
so
nice.
I got the opportunity to go down to spring ball, and I got to see Coach George, Coach Cohen, Coach Clausen, and I'll tell you that facility is phenomenal.
Yeah, they're doing big things, man. Coach Clausen's been killing it. Not an easy place, to sustain success the way he has, and it's a credit to him and what he's been able to build everywhere he's been. Shoot.
How tough was it for you being a quarterback playing for him? It was tough. Those guys were tough, man. Those guys, I told Coach Cohen when I went down there with my son next to me, I said, this guy was an asshole.
Yeah.
Like I mean, you respect them now. When you look back, I say to myself, those guys were tough, but they're still coaching. And look at the success Coach Clausen's had. Every job that comes up, I always talk and say, if I'm this program, I go after Dave Clawson.
Yeah.
But they were tough, man. But being a quarterback, how brutal was it for you?
Yeah, no, it was tough, right? Like, so, um, coach came from Villanova, right? And they had been wildly successful, right? Had been in the national championship hunt for however many years. Had great players, right? Chris Bowden at quarterback and Brian Finneran the receiver and Brian Westbrook at running back.
Yep.
We played against them our
Yeah.
freshman season, right?
Yep.
Dominated us 49-7, I think. It was like
Yep.
10 yards a pop every time Westbrook touched the ball. And he was 31 years old when he got the head coaching job at Fordham, right? And he was not only the head coach for the first time ever, he was also the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. So his first chance to put a stamp on a program, and he's calling the shot. So he was tough on us. He was hard, but it made me the player I was. Like he got the best out of me, for the most part there. And taught me a bunch of ball, a whole bunch of football. So worked for him for a lot of years after, and nothing but respect for Coach Clawson.
Yeah, and I want to get into that too. But when he got that job at Fordham, I think he was one of the youngest Division I coaches at the time
for
in
certain.
the country.
For certain.
And I'm sitting here saying, so when I was what was I doing at 31 years old? But to be a head coach, we were bad though. That 1 year, I mean, we were 0-11.
Terrible.
We were one of the worst programs in the country.
Yeah. The worst. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think it was us in South Carolina had 0-11 records that year. But yeah, that was embarrassing, man. Like, you want to talk about growing, you know what I mean? Like, the guys that stuck through that, and there weren't a ton of us at the end, right? But like, yeah, shoot, man, like that's what this game is all about.
That was tough because when I look back on it now, when he got hired, when you get recruited by one guy, you get excited to say, all right, I get a chance to play. Maybe I sit a year, maybe I'm special teams, or, in your case, hey, maybe I come in as a backup or whatever, and you work your way up.
Yeah.
And then those coaches all leave, and then another coaching staff comes in, they leave. So he comes in, and I remember, I think half our team quit.
Yeah.
Or half of them either left or he said, forced them out.
Yeah.
We didn't have many kids left when he took over.
No, shoot. I mean, you remember like getting up Saturday morning at 5 a.m. and playing basketball against the coaches, right? Like, all right, here's your 3-on-3 squad for the day, and they were gonna weed out who they wanted to weed out, and but yeah, I mean that's part of playing college football.
I just remember there were some of the nights during the week when we were in, I think it was off-season conditioning, which I hated. I don't think anybody liked it, but
mat drills.
We would be coming back during the middle of the night, and kids would just be coming home from the bars.
No doubt about it.
It was like 5
Friday morning. Yeah, shoot.
Yeah. But those were rough, man. Oh my God, I hated that stuff.
Yeah.
I hated it. But then you get the opportunity, you graduate. And then you're a grad assistant at Fordham. What was it like being a player?
There wasn't a graduate program, right? So it was like continuing studies and stuff like that. But the coaching turnaround and coaching at a place you just played at is really, really tough, right? And we were in our senior season, we were very, very young still. Like a lot of those skill players were sophomores, right? And even freshmen. And most of the linemen most of the guys in the program were, right? Like I think there was 20 maybe of us, 22 maybe of us at the end. So, and that was supplemented through the Chris Breens from Tony Downs's and Omar Bailey's, right? Like those guys came in kind of halfway through, but like that built you. You know what I mean? That built you.
So you coach at Fordham, and then you leave Fordham, and then I think you go to Richmond?
Yeah. Got hired. I'll never forget. That was a cool, really memory. Myself, Coach Clawson, and Coach Ed Foley right?
Yep.
We had gone to a clinic. I was coaching then, and we had gone to a clinic in New Jersey, and I was kind of there to be the hustle bustle guy, right? Make sure the film is set up, and I was a slapdick, right? I was 23 years old, like I didn't know what I was doing. But we're out for sushi after Coach had spoken, and I was naive, and I'm in the car, and Coach Clausen says, "Hey, he's like, hey, I just got the job at Richmond as the head coach. Do you want to come with me?" And I was like, "What? Like right now? This is happening right now?" Like I was just so naive to how the profession all worked. But yeah, it was like a crazy core memory in coaching. But yeah, went to Richmond, was there from 2004 season to we won the national championship in 2008. And then Coach Clausen hired me again to Bowling Green and went there, and then kind of started my road as a coordinator, right? Went back to Division III, Division II HBCU, got the opportunity to work for a former player of mine, a guy who I recruited as a 24-year-old quarterbacks coach at Richmond. He was my boss for 4 years at Charlotte, which was really cool. Didn't win enough games, which is how we're judged on our record, right? And then got the opportunity to come home to Ohio and beat Kent State. So it's been a journey, man. I've earned every one of these gray hairs, Rock. Every single one of them.
When did you knew when you were playing? Because I could even tell from being a roommate, and just even listening to you talk. I mean, you were always a student of the game. I knew you were going to be a coach, and my dad always tells me I'm crazy because my dad, I think, if my dad could have did it all over again, I think my dad would have said you should have been a college coach, got your master's degree, and worked your way up, and blah 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 blah. I was stupid and said to myself, "You have no life." Right. Yeah. You're always on the road. It's you never know if you're going to have a job year to year. And then I was like, you know what? I think I can make more of an impact coaching high school kids. Sure. But I knew you'd be a coach. I mean, did you know when you were playing and say to yourself down the road, that's what you wanted to do?
Probably not until my junior year. Coach Clausen had mentioned it, kind of one day. He was like, I think you'd be really good at this. And, I was always like, again, we were very young when we were seniors, right, on the team, and I had to lead those guys, right, and I had to be hard on those guys, and get them to do it the way I wanted it done, right, and we wanted it done, and I think that leads to an appreciation for the game. I think that leads to, naturally into you want to continue to impact lives, and that's why I got into this, man. Like football taught me so much, and that's what I hope this game does for these guys I get to coach now.
So you go from Richmond, you go to Bowling Green, which Bowling Green's another great school in the MAC, and you guys have a good run there. And then I think Coach Clausen, is that when he had left Bowling Green to go to
So came in to BG in 2009. Got there, had a great senior class, very super talented players. One of the best players I've ever coached, Freddie Barnes, set the world on fire.
Yep.
Caught 155 passes for like 1,700 yards and something stupid. Like he was a Biletnikoff finalist. He's down rubbing elbows with Tim Brown and Jerry Rice, and Golden Tate and Jordan Shipley were the other two nominees that year. Like just an unbelievable season. And then we got very young, right? And the program built, and just the way we did it at Fordham and the way we did it at Richmond, like we built it through young players and redshirting and developing and, built those programs. That's what Coach Clausen does. That's what he did. That's what he did then. That's what he does now. Like he's still doing it. So, but yeah, BG was a fun time. BG was a fun time.
Now, that's kind of when you go a different way. You start building that, being at OC. You're at Baldwin Wallace, Virginia State for a while, and then you get a chance to go down. You got a chance to meet Herb Hand, didn't you?
Yeah, we worked together for like 10 days. Your name came up like four or five times. Yeah. Herb will connect them dots now. Herb will connect some dots.
Herb
Yeah.
is
Oh yeah.
Herb has been so good to my family. Played for my dad.
Oh, he's
Um,
awesome.
every time Herb comes home, he always usually around 4th of July, he'll stop at my mom and dad to say hi to my dad, and
Yeah.
he never forgot where he came. He's been around for a long time,
Yep.
but when he said,
Relationship guy. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like that is yeah. Great dude. Great dude.
I was actually kind of hoping before Syracuse hired the guy they hired now that I thought Herb would have been interested possibly in coming home to Syracuse because he's from this way.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he's been real close with Gus Malzahn, for a long
Yeah.
time, and he ended up at
Yeah.
UCF.
Yeah. So that he left. We hired him after Texas, and he in his 10 days here, Rock, like he made an impact. Had a huge impact on me as a coordinator and the way things were built, and how to limit yourself. Right. Had a huge impact on me that way, and yeah, for 10 days, right? Like I cherished every single second
when
I
he
had with the guy.
when
But
he
yeah,
said that,
that all unfolded with Coach Malzahn at UCF. Like, but that dude was all in until the second he left. Like that guy
yeah,
was in a staff meeting at 4:30 and accepted a job at 4:45. Came and told me at 4:49. Like
when
all in till
when
the
Gus
last second.
Malzahn got that job, my dad and I both said he's gone.
Yeah.
He's not going to be at Charlotte. He talked so highly of Coach Healy.
Yeah.
Going, he felt really bad. I know when he left there, but now
Yeah.
Coach Healy's over there with him down at
He
UCF.
is. Yeah, he is.
So it's
We
so
opened with
funny.
them this past season.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, got our doors blown off in game one in year one, right, of the era here, the Kent Grid era. But it was good to see those guys. Yeah.
So when Coach Clausen went to Wake,
Yep.
could you have had the opportunity to go with him, or did you go your own path?
Yeah, I kind of chose. I mean, to go my own way. I knew I wanted to be in the quarterback space, and I knew I wanted to coordinate an offense, and I think I was heading that way at Richmond, and then he got the opportunity to go to Tennessee, and by the grace of God, it worked out for me to stay at Richmond that year and learn how to coach receivers, and that impacted me a ton. Um, I changed to receivers that year in '08, and the way you have to adapt as a teacher, that was a huge blessing for me. And then he hired me as the receivers coach at BG the next year. But I was heading that way at Richmond, and when we got to Bowling Green, totally different level, totally different, how those places operate and work. And I learned a ton from Warren Ruggiero when we were there.
Yeah.
And he's still the OC at Wake, and like that guy's an assassin as a football coach, as a play caller. Like, yeah, he taught me more football, and like I've tried to keep that mentality right throughout my career. Is just like continue to be a learner, be a lifelong learner. Like you learn so much and grow so much every single day if you're open to it.
So you've gotten a chance, and I just got a few of them on here. Obviously, Coach Clausen and Mike
Yeah.
London, right? You got an opportunity to coach with
Yeah.
him. How was he?
He was awesome. Mike Lennon is one of my favorite people in this profession. He's got an incredible story. Was a Richmond police officer and had a brush with death, and changed his life totally. And I think early in his career, some of the hours and some of the choices that he made as a young coach impacted his life off the field. And he was the guy that, after a Tuesday, or a Wednesday practice, like he would be standing on your door at 6:00 until you left. Like, get out of here. You want to come in early tomorrow, dude? Go ahead, but you ain't staying here and taking away family time. So that was really cool, and we were successful. Right now, we had been to the Final Four the year before, like, so it wasn't a total shock to get back there. We had really, really good players, but yeah, his energy was what that building needed at that time, I think.
So then I got on here, and hopefully I got my names right. Coach Barlow, was he down
Yeah,
at
Reggie
Virginia
Barlow.
State?
Yeah, he's the head coach of the DC Defenders now in the XFL, or UFL, or whatever that. I think it's UFL now. So yeah, great coach, man. Former pro. played the game at a super high level for a long time and coaches the game at a super high level. He knows how to impact people.
I think what Coach Hilver is it from Baldwin
No,
North?
so he's Jim Hilbert's the head coach at BW now, but the guy who I worked for was John Snell.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
He was a couple years after I left. He left.
so how do you come up with so OC now? You're at Kent State.
Yep.
You've been at a lot of places. You've learned from a lot of people. You've probably been to 100 different clinics. You see
Yeah.
all these different systems. When you watch college football now, everybody runs the spread.
Yeah.
You know, Coach Clausen and those guys run that slow mesh. Like
Yeah.
everybody has
Yeah.
their own style of it. How do
Sure.
you take parts of all that? Like how do you come up with your own stuff?
Yeah. I think you learn lessons from um, past years, but you got to build the offense to the players. You know what I mean? Like they have to be at the forefront of your thinking as you're designing, as you're playing. Yeah, it all starts with the guys you're playing with the pieces that you're playing with, and like I think you learn lessons along the way as to what who you are in your core as a football believer, right? Like I'm a run the ball guy. I know, certainly in the MAC and where we are, like you have to run the ball to win the game, right? To win the championship, you have to run the ball, and that all starts with the guys up front. And I think when you see across college football or pro football, whatever level of football, high school football, games are won in the trenches, right? And uh, you're building that at a place like Kent. You're building that at most of the places I've been, right? It can be a slow burn at times, but you want to be built that way, and you develop your core identity as a play caller, and then you we all steal, right? We see something cool, and like, hey, I wonder how they did that, and you study that, and if that fits your scheme, right, and fits your base set of rules and thoughts that you give your team, right? You add wrinkles over time.
So my Michigan Wolverines won the national championship,
I
and
was gonna congratulate you on
yeah,
that, dude.
people
I was
still
gonna
going to put the
congratulate you on
asterisk
that.
by the cheating stuff and all that. But
No, come on.
um, did you ever get a chance to meet Jim Harbaugh? Have you ever seen him in person?
Couple times, yeah. We all go to really every like June 1st is starts the football camp season, right? And there's a big mega camp down in Georgia at Mercer University, and he's always down there with his staff. And yeah, he is exactly what you.
He's
Yep,
a weird dude.
he's a really good football coach. He is a really good football coach. Still got a rocket for an arm, like yeah.
Well, they were pretty good in the trenches up front on both sides of
Whew,
the ball.
were they? Were they?
And
Holy
tough,
smokes, man!
good run game, but now we'll see. What's your thoughts on all that? You think I said back in August on the radio here, I said win or lose, this was before the season started. I said Jim Harbaugh was going to the NFL because deep down, I think he knew that he was only going to go so far with Michigan. He had a really good team coming back, a lot of veterans on that team.
Yeah,
Why deal with the NCAA, the NIL? I don't know how you guys do it. The transfer
it's
portal, it's a
yeah,
friggin' business now.
it's different. It's very very different. Certainly back from when you and I were playing. But shoot, it's different from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, right? Like and it's ever changing. It's your ability to adapt and be creative, right? With how you build your roster and manage your roster, right? Like retention is huge. If you have really good players at this level, right, at the G5 level, like they've earned the right to get opportunities to make money, right? And you don't begrudge guys that opportunity, but you're real with them and how that impacts their future and like what it could look like down the road.
But how do you guys so like you guys probably if you get a really good kid, maybe they're there with you guys for a couple of years and then boom, they transfer to a big time, Alabama's or those type schools. How
Yeah.
about the high school kid nowadays, like being recruited out of high school? It's gotta hurt that high school kid right now with the portal.
Well, so you think about it, right? Like 5, 7 years ago, every Power Five team, right, was signing the max class of 25 guys,
Mhm.
right? And the majority of those guys were high school guys, right? Now those numbers look more like 12 to 15, right? So there's certainly an impact on high school recruiting, but like I think there's still opportunities for those guys, right? Like really good high school football players, whatever, slip through the cracks all the time and go to Division II schools and Division III schools, right? And now with the avenues that are open for players, like if you have a really good season, you've earned the right to kind of continue to build your own career, your own brand, right? In the age of NIL. And more power to the players. It's certainly a different job than it was 5 years ago. Very much so.
Well, I always say the MAC, when I was coming out of high school, my sister went to Central Michigan, played field hockey there. And I always loved the MAC. I always said it was a lot of good coaches in the MAC, good football in the MAC, top to bottom. I thought it's was one of the better, conferences. But it's like now you guys there. I mean, again, how do you guys compete with the NIL where your guys can't be making that much money playing for you guys compared if they go somewhere else, right?
No, we're If in a lot of cases we're playing a different game, right? Than the powers, right? Certainly from how the NIL deals impact, your players in recruiting, right? Like we're not recruiting players with money. We're not, that's not. It's not a lot of G5 places, right? Like that's just not the reality for those programs, and there's a difference in the level of player you can take from the portal then, right? Because those are the guys that I think the guys that earn their name, right, and play a really good season somewhere. Those are the guys that you're seeing go in the portal and get these massive NIL deals. So it's all opportunity for the players, right? But it can make it tough as a coach to maintain and build your roster, for sure.
Well, and I like the idea if a coach leaves, they open up the portal for I think 30 days, and guys can join. I'm all for that, especially if the coach takes off. But you look at what Coach Prime did. I mean, they basically gutted the entire roster, basically brought in all new guys. I mean, you just look and see, because I follow them all the time, and it's like the money these guys are getting thrown at them is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You think someday there'll be a separate I keep saying I know we're going to 12 teams next year, but I still think at some point in time you're going to have a group of 5 playoff and the Power 5 playoffs. Am I crazy?
I'm interested to see where college football goes. It's like I said, it's an ever-changing game, right? And I think that's why, like at our level, you still have to be built on high school players, high school recruiting, right? You still have to build your roster that way. So, those 10 guys that we're missing out on the Power 5 level, like we're getting those guys at the G5 level, right? And the G5 10 guys that that missed those opportunities are now ended up at the FCS level. So there's good players everywhere. Like one of the best players, most talented kids I've ever coached was at that Division II HBCU at Virginia State. Like there is talent everywhere. It's as a coach, is how can you maximize those guys as men, right? And then as players. But like, it's all the same guys that make it to the NFL, right? It's the guys that are built a little different, that take the game a little bit more seriously than everybody else, right? That take their development more seriously than everybody else.
So you guys struggled this past year. No, there's no
we did,
questions.
No, it's like
your guys' schedule was brutal.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, it can be tough. Sure.
What's some of the best places you've been on the road at, stadium-wise?
Oh, shoot, that's a great question.
You've been at a lot of big ones. I mean, I saw that were at Washington, at Oklahoma.
Been to your big. No, so I wasn't there in 2022, right? So I missed the Washington,
you got there
Oklahoma,
in 23.
Georgia.
Oh, you missed.
I got there in 23. Yeah. But BG days, Charlotte days, like
Did you get to the big house?
Been to the big house. Underwhelming, Rock.
Yeah,
Underwhelming.
I've been there a few
For
times. It's been a while, but
the third largest city, stadium in the world, right? That's how it's, and it's beautiful. I mean, it's we got drubbed, as expected, kind of, but
how about Ohio? You been to the shoe?
not as an opposing coach, not as an opposing coach. Been to the Florida, that was loud. Been to Virginia Tech, was really loud.
Yep.
Yeah.
How about Penn
Some of my
State? You
favorite.
ever been to Penn State?
I've never been to Happy Valley. Never been to Penn State. Been to
So,
Clemson.
oh, that's that. My wife
South
for
Carolina was electric. South
oh,
Carolina
that's a
was an
good one too.
electric environment. Yep.
My wife for my birthday got me tickets for the Michigan Penn State game this year at Penn State,
Nice.
and we were I'll tell you, we had to be 10 rows, 15 rows from the field, right by the student
Nice.
side over here. I've been to that state when Herb was the O-line coach there. My dad and I went down there for spring ball, but I'd never been in there
Nice.
for a
Yeah.
big game like that. But then we were down this past year too for her birthday. She's an Ohio State fan, so I got her Ohio State tickets. We went to see their home opener. They played Youngstown.
Nice.
That
Nice.
first game there, and
The shoe's a special place too. I've seen a game there. Yeah. I actually, one of my favorite football memories is my younger brother, right, was 5 years is 5 years younger than us. And
yep.
When I was playing, like, he would play Friday nights and my mom and dad would get in the car and they'd drive, right, and come to see our games and then drive back to Cleveland, like super fans. That group of parents we had at Fordham, man, like,
They traveled.
special people.
What's your brother doing now?
So he's flying planes in the Air Force. He's as a reservist. He played at Air Force.
Yep.
But yeah, he's got his own financial management company in Columbus. But I got to warm him up, like, I think it was 2 weeks after my daughter was born, our first child, at Tennessee in Neyland Stadium.
Wow.
They lost 31-30. It was the game Inky Johnson got hurt.
Really?
So if you know who Inky Johnson is, like, I was 20 feet from that. I was on the sidelines.
Yep. I remember watching him play on TV.
Yeah.
They were always on TV. He was a nice little option quarterback.
He was a dude. Yeah.
He wasn't a big kid.
He's a thick joker now. He's a thick little joker, but not tall, not super tall. I got the height gene. He got the speed gene.
He didn't want to get into coaching when he got out?
He did it for a year. He did it for a year, and then he was like, "Nah, I'm not."
It's a tough, man. It's a tough grind. So you got some big challenges here, man. I had to go into the stats here for Kent State this year for offense.
Yeah,
dude, you got some work to do.
Yes, sir.
128th out of 130 in total offense.
Yep.
Last in scoring, third downs near the bottom, passing near the bottom, every category except red zone.
Yeah.
But you guys were young, right? Were you guys young?
Very, very young. Very, very young. Yeah. No, I'm excited for the challenge, Rock. Like, it's a young team, right? It's a young roster. We started 3 true freshmen up front at the end of the year, center, right guard, right tackle, and they're going to, they're better for it already. Our receiving core was extremely young. Our quarterback was extremely young. Our running backs are young guys. Like, and those guys stuck around. You know what I mean? Like, we retained our roster for the most part.
Oh, that's good.
Yes. So as crazy as it sounds, with all those numbers and, our record at 1-11, like, we're encouraged, man. It's exciting what's being built here, and the work our guys are doing.
You ever get a chance to see Coach Moorhead?
I haven't seen him since I've been back in Ohio, but I actually visited him once or twice when he was at Fordham as the head coach. I was recruiting guys from ASA Junior College in Brooklyn, and Chris Bowden was the head coach there. So I'd go see Bo, and then I'd go get a slice on Arthur Ave, full moon, and pop into the office and see Joe. But yeah, he's a dude. I love Joe.
He's got tough too down at Akron. Is that
Yeah,
what's your guys' rivalry game?
that's it.
That's
That's it
it. I
right
was gonna
there,
say,
baby.
yeah.
Yeah, we don't say that. We don't say that word. We say the school down the road. Yeah,
So
it's the
you guys
I
like
believe
the
it's the
Michigan, Ohio
third.
State, the school
That's
up
right.
north and all that.
That's right. That's right. I think it's the third closest as far as proximity rivals are concerned. Yeah. It's
How
like
about Ohio? Is Ohio rivalry too for you?
no, so the MAC just went into pod. I mean, everybody in the MAC's a rival, right? You're recruiting against those guys. You're recruiting the same pool of players for the most part from the state of Ohio and Michigan and Pennsylvania and Indiana and Kentucky and like Illinois. Like that's who the MAC recruits. That's the footprint, right? And So everybody's a rival in that sense. But the MAC is moving to like a pod system. So there's 3 teams in our pod, and it's us, the school down the road, and then Buffalo.
Okay.
Yeah. So that'll be our pod and how we travel together. And our pod will play this other pod, and then I don't know. People way smarter than me figure that stuff out, Rock.
You ever get a chance to talk to Sister Ann or anybody from school?
Man,
She's still going, man.
I know. I heard she moved.
Oh, did she?
I heard she just moved. Yeah. Somebody, I forget who told me that.
I just you're gonna laugh when I throw this name out at you. If you remember, I don't know if you had him for theology. Remember Father? You did. Remember Father Mac?
Oh yeah.
Dude, I've kept in touch with him for 20 years.
Yeah.
He still sends me emails. I send him stuff all the time.
Legend. Yeah.
Like I was saying, the AD has been so good to me
Yeah.
over there. You probably haven't seen pictures of it, but the athletic facilities now there are phenomenal.
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah, that's the whole Brando deal, right? Like I played in that golf outing a time or two, and certainly stayed in touch with the program that way. But yeah, I love what's going on there, man. I love what's going on there.
It's kind of like one of those things where it's a stepping stone for some of those coaches that have went on to do some big things.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a tough place, right? Like it's you can't go nowhere really, like as far as facilities are concerned. Um, and that stuff is important to kids, right? But I think the biggest thing for Fordham is like you're still selling New York City, right? And
Yeah.
the opportunities that provides. But like I love what their basketball program seems to be doing great. I see videos from Rose Hill Gym all the time, like the
Yep.
memories that gives me. Going and watching Bavon Robin and
Yep. Yep.
Jason Harris light up corner threes, bro.
Yep.
Like,
Yep. I remember. I
those are
still tell the story. I think we were down at the Garden when they upset St. John's. When I think Bavon
yeah,
Robin hit the game winner, and I think
yeah,
that was the year St. John's was like 4th or 5th in the country. I think
yeah. They were awesome. Yeah,
they
they
had
were
some good
awesome.
coaches back then in basketball.
Who's that?
Jim Herrick was there, I think, down at UCLA.
Oh yeah. What are you talking about?
I'm
Fordham?
talking about yeah, not at UCLA, Rhode Island. Wasn't that Jim Herrick when we had Ed O'Bannon?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But they
No,
had,
man, that A10 is so much fun to watch in basketball. Or what was the A10? It was now the CAA or whatever, right?
no, I think hoops
Yeah.
is still the A10. It's
Is it?
football. Football is still the only one that's Patriot League there.
That's true. Yeah.
I'm
That's true.
surprised they don't jump to the A10 in football.
Well, I mean, that's
Or the C.
everybody's
What's
moving,
now
right?
what the C? Is that the CAA now in FCS?
CAA.
Yeah.
Yep. 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 Heck of a conference. I mean, the year we won the championship, I think there were 7 CAA teams.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well, Bob Hill's one of my all-time favorites. Remember when Bob Hill was there, man? We used to go crazy with him.
dude, I remember playing pickup hoop in the gym with Smush Parker with the year he couldn't play.
Yep.
Like,
He
yeah,
was
man.
sick, man. He was phenomenal.
Yeah, he was really good. Yeah.
So I was the other thing that we always talk about on the radio is, nowadays, like you could take yourself, but I always go back to Coach Clausen and say, you got a guy that's kind of established himself at a program like Wake. It's a tough place to win, right? Academically, it's tough, small. I think
Yeah.
it's one of the smaller D1 schools in the country, right? At Wake.
Yeah, one of the top 5, I
Yeah,
think for sure. Yeah, as
but
far as enrollment, right? You're talking about
yeah,
enrollment.
enrollment
Yeah.
wise.
Yep. Yep.
But you get somebody that's established himself there, that's had some success. A lot of times when these other big Power 5 jobs come open, you hear his name mentioned, or even some of these other guys that have a really good year, they jump
Yeah.
after 1 or 2 years for, I'll say they chased a dollar. Maybe they get
Sure.
$7-8 million a year. But then when they go wherever they go, if they don't win within the first 2 years, they're cut loose.
Yep.
So it's almost like, do you get to a place where you're happy, you're content? At the end all, money is not the most important thing, but it helps in a lot of ways, right?
For sure,
What do
especially
you
$9 million. Like
Yeah, I
that's
mean, what do you think of coaches like that though? They have a good couple years and then they go
yeah,
take that big job and then all that pressure to win. Look at Kalen DeBoer at Alabama. People are already saying that he loses 2 years, he's done.
yeah. That
And
guy's
the
won
guy had it
everywhere.
made.
That guy's won everywhere.
It's a
Like he's
lot
a
of
winner.
pressure.
For sure. Yeah, I mean this is college football is not an easy business. You know what I mean? Like and it's performance based, right? So um the days of going into year 5 and building your program, right, are like you can't do that. Like you better have gotten it done, right? So um and moving in the direction where you're competing for championships. You know what I mean? So um it's performance based business, man.
Yeah.
You gotta win, right? That's the name of the game. So
Dude, what's your wife think? Because my mom, I always say my mom's a saint because my mom would have been a really good college wife to have because she loved football.
yeah,
But I mean, does your wife ever panic saying, "Geez, if you guys don't win this year, you might be out of a job, and then where are we going after?" Like, how
yeah,
stressful is that?
yeah. I mean,
But that's
it's
the profession.
it's part of the business, right? My wife has only known me as a coach, and I'm blessed with a good one, man. Like I don't know how Sarah Carney does what she does on a daily basis. Um, so like it takes a special woman, that's for certain. But we have real conversations. Like that's my best friend. You know what I mean? Um, we're built on that. We're built on trust. We're built on the ability to have those honest conversations, and um, you know, some of us handle uh, quick changes better than others. You know what I mean? But yeah, I make messes like the Tasmanian devil, and she comes around and cleans everything up. But yeah, I got lucky, man. I'm blessed.
How old are the kids?
Whew, 17. I got a senior.
Ooh.
Yeah, 12 and 9.
Oh wow.
Yeah, 2 boys are 12 and 9.
Yeah,
So
you got
yeah,
me beat. I got my son is 12 in 6th grade.
yeah,
Just played his first year of Pop Warner.
mine too. Yeah,
We went 9-1. I got suckered
and
into it. I told him that I told my son I wanted him to wait one more year because modified here is 7th and 8th grade.
yeah,
And I had heard a lot of negative things about the Pop Warner program here, but I didn't want to discourage him. But he's
yeah,
like, Dad, I want to play. So I told the coach I would help.
yeah.
And next thing you know, I was more the defensive guy, but I basically put in the whole offense. I was like the head coach. And it was kind of nice to get back in the swing of things. But
Absolutely,
so now
absolutely.
now I'm the basketball coach. I'll be coaching AAU, and
Yeah, buddy.
my daughter's 7 playing some hoops and soccer, field hockey.
Yeah, I
Just
think
never
I've
ends.
done one season. I think I've done one season as a parent coach. Uh, my son Marcus, our oldest boy, was I want to say 6 or 7 maybe. And one of the summers at Virginia State, I had a little bit of free time, and but I don't want my kids to know me as coach. I want my kids to know me as dad. They're so much of their time is robbed, you know, with
Mhm.
me doing this job, and I just want to be a dad, man. I don't want to coach my kids. I try not to coach my kids. Like I'm constantly on, right? I'm constantly a coach, but I try not to coach them. I don't like let them talk bad about their coaches. I make them talk to their coaches. Um, so like I try to be I try to be a dad when I'm a dad, man. You know?
Yeah, I told my son after this year, once he hits 7th grade, I'm all done.
Yeah.
But I'm tough on him. I mean, basketball,
You gotta be. Shoot,
he
you gotta be.
comes off the bench for us in hoops.
There you
Football,
go.
he had a good year football-wise. He played DN for us and, on defense, and on offense, he was our fullback.
Nice.
So he doesn't really have the speed yet. I gotta work on his footwork.
Yeah, no, I've seen his dad run, so
But he works hard. He's one of those
yeah,
kids that'll work hard, and he dies for loose balls.
yeah,
He never complains, and I
yeah.
keep saying, "That's what a coach wants, buddy. You just gotta keep working hard."
That's it. That's it. That's my, similar for my son. First year of football, or tackle football, right, for the middle school. They weren't allowed to play as sixth graders.
Mm,
Um, so seventh grade, he's, very nervous for the tryout and how do I impress the coaches? I was like, buddy,
yep,
just work hard. They're gonna
yep,
notice that, I promise. You don't have to be the fastest. You don't have to be the first guy in the line.
yep,
Be the guy that gets the most reps. Be that. Compete. Encourage your teammates. Right. Don't talk stuff to anybody. Um, but yeah, he had a blast, man. He's a safety and a receiver.
well,
He was
nice.
not. He was, as you know, he was not blessed with fast twitch muscle fibers.
What would, what would you tell a high school kid now they'll recruit, that's trying to play at, the next level?
Yeah. As
What's
far
some
as what?
word?
How do you mean?
I mean, like, for recruiting wise, I mean, I always say to the kids this way. I said, "Listen, if there's a lot of good Division III football, we just had Cortland State,
Yeah.
this way by us win the
Yeah. Yeah.
national championship, which is really
Yep.
good football.
Yep.
But if you're lucky enough to play Division III, Division II, obviously there's not a lot that can play at that level.
Yep.
What's some words of advice for the young kids?
Yeah. Opportunity, man. Like any way you can stay on tape, right? Like just because you may not have an opportunity open for you right now, like if you're passionate about this game, if you're passionate about your development and what this game can do for you as a man, right? Like find an opportunity. There's a lot of really good football players everywhere. And it doesn't have to be a Division 1, a division, 1 AA. It doesn't have to be that. Like get your foot in the door somewhere. Opportunities are everywhere, and a lot of opportunities look the same as hard work, right? They're dressed in the same clothes. So when you get a chance to do it, like jump at it. That's you know that was who I was as a player, right? Like I was never the most talented dude, never the most talented dude. But I had to outwork people, so I was going to be the voice in the weight room. I was going to be the guy in the film room. I was going to be, I was going to learn the game better than everybody else. So if you're passionate about doing it, do it. Like, and find your fit, right? Find your place where you can be happy when you lay your head on a pillow at night. Um, because this game ends for everybody, right? Even Tom Brady, you know what I
Mhm,
mean? And I get nervous about young men putting their identity into this game because it's hard. You remember, Rock, when football's over, man, it's hard,
mhm,
especially when you've done it for as long as you do it to get to the college level, right?
yep,
Um, and that's a hard transition sometimes. So you know, put your identity into who you are as a human, as a man, and the better you are as a man, I promise you, the better you'll be as a football player. I promise you. The game teaches us great life habits and lessons when you let it. But yeah, as far as the recruiting, like NIL, right? Be your own brand. Everybody's their own brand. Represent yourself and realize and understand the power that you have with social media. You can use that as a great tool to market yourself. Being DMs, sending film, building relationships. Right. This is a human game. This is a relationship business. A lot of who we trust, right, is in recruiting is based on relationships.
mhm,
What head coaches say, what the English teacher that or have a connection with, what they say. So, um, you know, build your brand. Be constantly evaluating your brand, right, and how you present yourself, how you say, how you behave online is just as important as in a human interaction. But trust and know that like every day you're being evaluated, right? Recruiting staffs are massive anymore, right? Like we had to send VHS tapes out
I know.
to as many to as many coaches as we could afford to do it. Now it's like click of a button and boom, like we're evaluating kids all the time. So, yeah, be your own best friend as far as marketing is concerned.
Listen, before I let you go, I got to ask you the question: Who was a better college football coach on PlayStation?
Ooh.
I,
Hey, so
we had some battles, man.
Rock. One of my best friends is the defensive coordinator for the Las Vegas Raiders. His name is Patrick Graham. All right, when we moved to Richmond, he was my roommate, and we lived in the basement underneath of the basketball arena. All right, it was just me and him. There was roaches in the lights we had nicknames for. All right,
Oh
like
my
this
God.
place was old and dusty, and but we used to have epic battles in NCAA games, right? Epic battles. And I'll text him every now and again, like, "Hey, great job against the Chiefs' offense this week. I would still run the ball all over you." You know what I mean? Like it's still a job. But you played, and this was against NCAA regulations, so bleep this part out if necessary. But you played a Tecmo Bowl game for a sizable amount of money one time.
And won.
And won.
And won. Just throw that out there. And I won. If my mom or dad are listening, they're gonna say, "What did you do? What would you, dude?" All I remember is it got so intense. We used to put the stand-ins and like on the windows. We used to put tape. We used to miss some classes in the morning. I think going to sociology classes,
no question,
because we were bad and we had some wars.
It wasn't only football though. It was like there was a Tiger Woods golf
it was everything.
phase. There was a James
Madden,
Bond phase. There was Madden. Yeah, like everything. We played Mario Kart, right? There was a.
Then the one was the Olympic one. It was like the track
Yeah,
we used to do the over at God damn it, Lawhorn's place, right? I think I had bloody knuckles because I was trying to go so damn fast playing that. But oh my God,
that's funny.
I'll tell you.
That's funny.
You ever talk to Chris Harris?
No, not really. Not really.
He sent me.
I'll see a post every now and again. On
I was gonna say on Facebook every now and then he'll shoot something up. I try to follow as many guys as I can.
Yeah.
Just
and
to
even
see what
like my
everybody's doing.
social media is like recruiting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's my pipeline to starting conversations with kids and coaches and what they're presenting, how they're presenting themselves. So it's hard. Not hard. Like don't throw a pity party for me, but to use it as to stay in touch is tough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm glad we got to do this, man. This was fun. This was a lot of fun.
I'm glad. I know you were busy. I just said, let me reach out, see if you can jump on and just catch up. And like I said, I've followed your career for since you got out of college. So
yeah, it's been fun, man. It's been a journey.
Well, I'm sure it's not over yet. I'm sure you got bigger things coming. I know you'll do well. I'll be watching. See, you got a big challenge ahead of you, but I know you're up for it, and
excited for sure.
You're excited for it. Who do you open up with?
Pitt. So our non-conference next year is Pitt, St. Francis, Penn State, and Tennessee.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I'll get to go
all
to
on the road.
St. Francis at home, but the rest are on the road. Yep.
Ooh. Yep. You get to go see old Josh Heupel.
That's right.
And the
great opportunity, man. Let's go.
Well, listen, man. Keep in touch. Proud of you.
Yes, sir. For
and,
sure. Appreciate
I'll definitely follow you throughout the year, but keep in touch, man. Say hi to everybody.
I will. I remember sitting in late night in dorm rooms and you doing your radio voice and like you were born to do this, dude. It's been fun to watch you. So keep going.
It's a fun job, man. Every time I look on TV, all these Fordham guys are making millions of dollars broadcasting. That's right. And here I am on WKL, this small little station in Rome that nobody's heard of. But
Spiro will call you soon, I'm sure.
I had Spiro on a couple years ago.
Did you?
Yep, I had Spiro on. I still was set up to have Tony Reilly on about a year ago.
Yeah.
And then Tony, he had something come up. But I've had a lot of those guys on. I've had a lot of NFL
Bogus,
guys
have you had
on.
Bogus on?
No.
Andrew, he's a dude. Yeah, he's a stud.
A lot of Fordham guys though on TV, the
Yeah,
radio,
yeah.
and
Oh yeah. That was one of my favorite classes at Fordham was that what
sports
was it? Sports
communication.
marketing? Yeah, sports with Cirillo. Yeah.
He sends me guests all the time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I
That's
keep in
awesome.
touch with him a lot. So,
Yep.
but now I'm gonna have to
Awesome,
get a
dude.
Kent State shirt. What do you guys? You guys got a
I'll send you
bookstore or
something.
what? Send
I'll
me.
send you
Yeah.
something. Yeah. Shoot me your address in a text. I'll send you something for sure.
All right. Cool.
Yeah,
All
buddy.
right, man. Proud of you. Keep in touch. All right.
Appreciate you. Yeah, next time we're in Buffalo, come on up, dude.
I will. Are you guys there this coming year or no?
We should be. We should
All
be.
right.
They were at our place last year, so when the schedule gets released, I know who we're playing. I just don't know when we're playing them.
All right. Maybe we'll take a trip. Maybe I'll spend the night out that way.
Heck
Come
yeah,
out
come
there.
on.
All right.
Hopefully it's
Sounds
not
good.
like 7 feet of snow.
Well, hopefully it's a little earlier in the fall than late
Yeah.
fall you play them.
That's right.
That's they get buried that way.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But all right, man.
Who you rooting for this weekend? I got one question for you. Who you rooting for this weekend?
Well, I'm going Baltimore. I got to root for another Harbaugh.
Yeah.
And then I like both NFC teams. My brother-in-law is from Michigan, so I'm going to pull for Detroit, but I like them both.
How can you not be a fan of Dan Campbell? Come on, man. Like,
I think
what he's done there, what they've
them.
done there is unbelievable.
They can beat
too.
San Francisco.
I think they can too. Yeah.
They run the ball well defensively. They're and Goff's playing well.
Yep, he is. He really
so we'll
is.
see. They should be two good games.
You can't root for the Ravens though. That kills me as a Browns fan, Rock. Kills me.
Browns had a good year though. Joe Flacco, man.
That was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, they had a good year.
Yeah, that was fun.
But I got to root for Harbaugh.
Yeah, I get it.
So, all right, man, get going. I don't want to keep you up.
I appreciate you, dude. This was fun.
You got it, bro. Thank you.
All right, Rock. See you, buddy.
Nice to go down memory lane. He's had a great career, and he's worked himself up the ladder in the coaching field, and I'm excited to see. I know he'll do good things at Kent State. I was busting his chops because their offensively this past year, they ranked at the bottom in a lot of categories. But like you said, they're young. You got to take your growing pains and player develop, and I know those guys will. And I'll have to look to see when they do come down and play Buffalo. I'll see if I can get my son and bring my wife and the family down there to watch them play. So thanks, Coach. Meant a lot to have you on here tonight, and I'll make sure I stay in touch, and good luck to you. So on behalf of myself here tonight, as I always say, the Rock Pile is where dreams become reality. Have a good evening, everybody.